every civil servant, every elite, every stakeholder has passed through a classroom. True of us.
Very true.
So when these same persons gain academic performance, academic excellence, then they go at the height of the government, and then you see that a teacher who, by the status of our country, has made them to be so mean, has made them to have no value. Then upon all that these people are going to, they see take it upon them to give the best training to our students, and you are the first person to stand there, and if a teacher says he has not been paid, you send gendarmes to them face. That is not the point. I'm giving credit on the students. Before I said it, that students must respect the teacher, because it is primordial that they respect the teacher who is passing knowledge to them. If you come late to school, it's just bad normal, under normal biblical rules, that when you default, you are bound to punishment. Now I still go back to hit on the government on this. My bad. Let's take my analysis very keen. Now you see that we have policemen. I believe probably my co-panelists and you, all of us, they don't smoke. But the rate at which drug has been smuggled into this country, and it is rampant. Every day, military people run their trucks left and right, arrest the children, lock them up. But the next day, you see these same recalcitrant children on the street, practicing the same attitude. I begin to ask, where is the intelligence of our security to combat this particular evil called drugs? Because it is due to all of this that we have some of this irresponsible attitude that these children are propelling on their institution and on their teachers.
Okay, now let us look at the side of the principal. The principal, in an exclusive interview with the press, said all what she did was, when it was time for the national anthem to be sung, she majestically went, and she was told that there was a crowd of students outside the gate. And of course, it is but out of a national sovereignty that when the national anthem is ongoing, you stand and give it all the credence and all the respect that is due. Thank you so much, Claudine, for what you're doing. And you see, when she went to actually counsel, in her words, when she went to counsel the students and advising them on the repercussions that late coming has got on their academic performance and all of that, the students had to push and plunge themselves into the school campus. Do you think for the students to act like this, or for every reaction there is a counter reaction? Do you think that there is a counter reaction, or there is an underlining factor or a push factor that it's not brought in the face of the media that must have prompted these learners to act the way they did?
Children within the ages of 15, 16, 17, they're full of life. Yeah, that is exorbitant. So one person can actually cause this to happen. If one person moves ahead and takes an action, the other follows. It's always like that. Always like that. I think I might not grant absolute credibility to what the principal said, but as a student, you have to be profoundly conscious of the fact that you are coming to school at 8:30. You have to be administered punishment for coming to school late. So it's normal. It's done everywhere. During our days, teacher will tell you go and dig a stone.
Of course. Clear
a 1 hectare piece of land.
But do you think
and
that
we did all of that? Yes, because we knew we were guilty and we came to school late, or maybe something wrong. But these days, parents too are there. A teacher flogs a child, and the parent brings the child to school and say, "What, don't you have any right? You have any right to touch my child? This is my child," and stuff like that. So the children have been given excess indulgence, and I think this is one of the reasons why it's happening like this. Because in those days, teacher used to play the role of the parent and the teacher. Yeah, teacher and parent. But these days, not like that. We have parents who go to school and confront teachers for beating their kids. It's true. How many parents in Cameroon can actually see their kids in the late hours of the evening to assess what they're doing in school? Your homeworks, these to take their performances. They don't. People are so engrossed with their businesses, money, career, and everything. And they have to be actively involved in the activities of their children.
But,
Yes.
Mr. Pope Bertrand, before we creep into, the contributions of parents in the upbringing, in the raising of their kids, let us look strictly at the scenario that has happened and that, has rubbed on our faces. In the principal's words, they came late. Do you think stopping these learners from getting into the campus, whether or not they came late, was a justifiable punishment that did not warrant any form of violence against the school, the principal, or a government academic institution like Lycée Etukebe?
Yes, Mabe, I want you to use the word belonging. I want you to start this analysis by using the word belonging. Now, when a similar situation always happen around Lycée Molikoye, and you see students out, but I think that situation has been managed, because when you leave the children out of the gate, this agitation start building in them. But if you gather all of them and they enter the gate, these days we see there was security, private security forces, institution, G4, that station at the gates. They could canalize these children and say, okay, all latecomers stand here. There, the principal and the institution has an eye on them. When you leave them out of the gate, some of these children are coming from homes where they act like slaves, where they come from homes where their stepmother is giving them ill treatment. And by the time they feel so frustrated that I'm late at maybe probably 8:45, 9 o'clock. If I go to the house now, the lashes I'm going to receive will be terrible on me. So there are a lot of factors that run into these children's head. But hadn't been, they have taken them and said, okay, probably as other activities. I heard there was a discipline council that on that Monday. They moved them in a way and said, probably kneel down and raise your hands up. That's the first punishment we ever received.
And what if they had woken up to riot against us? What if they had created another commotion?
Maybe.
Because this was just stopping them from entering the campus.
Crowd is a factor of violence. A mob is a factor of violence. For example, if these students were coming probably in 2, in 3, in 4, in 5, somebody just said that all of you go and kneel down there. All of you go and kneel down there. You see, the agitation that took place out of the gate, the momentum of the agitation would have not been, would have not gained
that
momentum.
grievous.
You get it? So I also find it incompetence in the part and in the administration of the school itself.
Okay, now if you were administration, what would you have done differently in this case?
Like I earlier said, when children come, don't leave them outside, because leaving them out, these days we all know drug is our neighbors. Some students will just there is more money in the hands of the youth than in the hands of the old. Some students will just branch to the nearby bar and the days end like that. You get it? So it is, they have come to school with the purpose of learning. We have to safeguard that. Take them inside the school compound. Let them be there. That's the first solution to such things.
Okay, now while in the school compound, I'm asking. No, please, I'm asking because not to derail the viewers.
There's a discipline master, right? And the functionality of a discipline master, he's not the one giving the sermon and the lectures at the devotion ground. That is his own role at the gates. To see that those who are coming late, he has a duty of bringing them together before sanctioning their different punishment to them. You and I know that we're not sanctioning the way you're sanctioning, but so when I use the word sanction different punishment, we should be
logical. Yes.
So that is his role, with probably some forces that used to be around him. This is a lycée. It's not it was a private school. We're saying that no, private are irresponsible. I'm talking about a lycée,
where they have the population or the numbers.
So it was supposed to be ringing a bell in all of the staffs there on how to manage such situations.
Okay, thank you so much. I think, dear televiewers, we are going to get on a small break to get the exclusive interview from the principal of Lycée Etukebe, Madame Catherine Bacha, who is going to be speaking to us right now. And from there, then we are going to be analyzing further. Thank you so much, Claudine. Bring us to Madame Catherine Bacha, who speaks to the press.
Go to school today morning. Normally on Mondays we have assembly at 7:15, but I noticed from my cameras today that the students, there were just a few of them standing at the assembly ground. So when the chief of extracurricular activity got here that we should go for assembly, I told her that there are not many students there, so we should wait till 7:30. So she should come back at 7:30. And when she got here, we got to the assembly ground at 7:45, finished with the necessary activities that we ought to have carried out there. But the assembly for some reason delayed today because we had a disciplinary council on Thursday, and we had to announce the sanctions at the disciplinary council at the assembly. So thereafter I was informed that the students who came late were so many. We have to go and talk to them and try to appeal to their consciences so that they come early to school. If not, they are going to accumulate absences, hours of absences that can cause them to be expelled at the end of the academic year. So I went with the discipline masters and some vice principals who were programmed to be at the gate there. We spoke to the children and they tell them they need to come early to school so that they don't miss lessons, so that they don't get dismissed at the end of the year. They were now asked to line up so that they can enter the campus in an orderly manner, which they did. A different separate line for boys, another separate line for girls. And so when they started entering the campus in an orderly manner, no trouble, and a good number of them got in like that. But from nowhere, the older boys who were behind started agitating. They started agitating and pushing. And as they were pushing, so they pushed open the gate, because we had opened just one side to avoid a situation of stampede. We made sure that we opened just so that the file passed in an orderly manner. So they pushed open the main gate, and so everybody wanted to pass at the same time, and so they got stuck at the level of the gate, because the gate could not contain the number at that time. And so the younger ones who were in front, some of them fell down and incurred some bruises. But we thank God, we have not registered in any casualty.
I think the level of patriotic acts continues, because we have here a situation where there was this hoisting of the flag, which happens once a week, and on that occasion students who came late decided to act otherwise, and we want to think that these unpatriotic acts should be condemned, and rightly too. And we think that parents should educate their children on the necessity. If you can come to school late any other day, they should not be on the day that they are hoisting the flag. And so we want to think that parents have abdicated, they have abandoned their role as parents to teach these young Cameroonians the necessity to respect the national anthem. And we have visited the school and seen a lot of damages caused. And we have asked that more stringent security measures be taken for now.
Wounded. So the problem is what? As every Monday, they used to sing the national anthem, and during this execution, the provisor asked children, those who were outside, to wait the end. And when they opened the door, many people wanted to enter at the same time. And so you can imagine what happened. And what we don't understand is that those who came here are not only people's school of this school. We have some who are driving motorcycle who came here. And we can also ask ourselves if this incident do not have anything with what happened last Thursday when some children was trapped in discipline council. So we are going to see all this. And today we ask children to go back and they can come again tomorrow at school. And we want to ensure that there is no death. They can go and to the hospital to see. Nobody is dead, no children. After this, we are going to have a small meeting with the responsible of this school, this government high school. So we believe that tomorrow children can come, no problem. And we ask those who do not have a relation with the school to stay outside. This is not the middle where if you want to consume alcohol or drugs, you come. No, people are here to learn, only to learn. And we ask parents to advise their children at home before they come to school.
Thank you so much, dear televiewers, and of course, just to let you know that the program would not have this beauty, this facelift without your involvement. Thank you so much for trusting High Television as source of information. The program on board is Matters, and we are looking at the chaos that happened within the week on Monday, specifically at Lycée Etukebe in Yaoundé, the capital of Cameroon, where we had calls of students onto a strike action at Lycée Etukebe, and which led to, destruction of the principal's car and looting and some destruction of some learning facilities there in the campus. From the various excerpts, we've listened to Mr. Emmanuel Marie, who is the senior divisional officer for Yaoundé, and Mrs. Catherine Bacher, who is the principal of Lycée Etukebe, and of course the governor of the central region, Mr. Nasiri Po Beya, all of them speaking on the occurrence, what led to that kind of fuse and tension within the campus between the principal and the students. Do you think that this was a meditated action? We got from the principal that she went out with some teachers to advise or counsel the students on the repercussion of coming late and the effect that it could be on their academic performance, because they will eventually be missing classes. And after the council, he told them to form two lines, two queue, one for the girls and one for the boys. And as they started entering peacefully, then the older boys behind started getting into a commotion. They started, all of the chaos and all of that. They started birthing tension. And I think there is lack of chronology between what the SDO said and the principal. The SDO said it was a stampede because all of them were trying to rush at the same time. Do you think, first of all, that it has been a meditated action? The principal was a target here and they just wanted to prove a point. Maybe her cup was full.
Well, we have to understand that, you see, the educational sector is an institution where teachers and students know themselves very well. So, and you see what the principal, if you analyze the three voices, you find a lot of differences in what they are saying. Now, the first thing is, I bet you, we all have been to schools. Coming up here means that, like Era said, we have been to classrooms before, and we best know that principals, except otherwise, will hardly attend devotions. Not in all cases, but in most cases. At times in a week, they will come once. They may come once in the whole week. Secondly, if they do the attempt to come, they will not be the one to go and accord and order children to move into the gate. So if you analyze the principal's statement, the principal is giving a report speech of what the discipline masters and some spearheaded teachers have told her that happened at the gates.
But she said she was there.
You don't know how Cameroon is. Okay, she was there. I take the blame. The SDO, was he also outside there during the devotion hours?
The answer is obvious.
Okay.
Yeah, because
the governor out there, but they all gave a picture. They painted a picture of what happened
after thorough investigation.
Yeah, because
after thorough investigation,
what the principal said is a flat contradiction of what the senior judge said.
Yes, that is where I'm going.
What the governor said is a solid discrepancy from what the principal said. The inconsistency in their statements and indisputable evidence that they are not saying the truth. And now the media never bothered to interview any of the students to their own side. The student community had to issue a word for us to be able to establish the exactitude of what transpired.
Now, let me key into you, Mabel. You know that for violence to take a new shape, there must be casualty. And when I see that this is my benchmate, this is my classmate, he's on the floor for a job, for a cause them in their minds feel that they were not supposed to be left out of the gate, which by the normal institutional rules they are supposed to have punishment for coming late. You get the point. Now the children feel that the standing outside alone is already punishment for them.
No, but no matter what happens, violence should never be an option.
And violence should never be an option.
I'm not preaching violence.
I'm not preaching you retire and walk back home to your father's house and tell your parent that I have been locked out of the school.
But now, Leonard, do you think that
bring the situation to the attention of your parents? From there,
no, Mr. Leo, I'll beg to contradict you because these children they have come willingly to learn. Giving them punishment, I don't differ with that. But we don't know the intention of the school. The intention of the school was not to send them back.
Yeah.
They were supposed to go in and accord their punishment.
Yeah.
I'm trying to point to here that there must be some degree of violence perpetrated on this student before the reaction. For every action, there's a reaction. You know
no, okay.
But
the
major architect of the violence were hoodlums around that vicinity.
Now, assuming, Mr. Lionel,
I saw some of them. I saw some of them dressed in their ordinary wear and stuff. Yeah.
No,
so
but that school
people
has uniforms.
Who perpetrated those acts were not even students.
Okay.
Angry youth took advantage of that and they penetrated the school campus and then caused havoc.
Now, but do you think that in all of this was, this maybe could have been meditated, and this was just an outburst of what has been the intention of the students for this long?
We are adults and everything we do is always after a profound reflection. Because children are excited, they're full of life. One student can instigate the rest of them. Yeah. One student can instigate the rest of them to put up such crazy behaviors. Yeah. One single student can practically instigate the whole a group of students maybe to put up such unacceptable behavior. Just one.
But do you think that, Mr. Lionel, as somebody who is in the media, do you think that the media did justice? I remember when I listened to the report of one of the journalistic barons at the state media. He did an exclusive interview for the radio, whose name I'm not going to call out of cheap publicity. I whispered to myself that this was not balanced. Yes, the principal talked. Yes, the SDO talked. But we have students who were victims. You would have gone to the hospital to investigate or hear from their own side. You had students who were onlookers. Why were their own side of the story muted? Do you think it was a balanced report? Do you think the media actually did justice to this occasion?
The state media is an instrument used to propagate the regime's propaganda. You understand? The state media is an instrument that's used to propagate the regime's agenda, and most of the time they always come in to defend. The Minister of Public Health issued some words after the incident, and a lot of stuff was said. But we are not in any position to grant absolute credibility to these stories because there are inconsistencies. But like I said, we should never adopt violence and an approach to help this situation.
Now, if you were principal, what would you have done different? If you were principal of Lycée Etukebe, what would you have done different? Because
every
from
institution has reserved retributions that are reserved for students who come late to school, who break the laws, who overstep the rules of the school and everything. So you are coming to school late, you know what's going to happen to you. Yeah. During our days, we knew that if you are coming to school late, you have to either be punished by doing this or doing that. So I was aware of that.
So even if they had stayed out for, let's say, a long period of time, it was still not justifiable for them to put up that kind of stunt.
Maybe the truth is that you and I don't know what happened. The truth is you and I don't know the exactitude of what transpired there.
But assuming that was what happened.
All the stories we've heard are made up, make-ups. They are made make-ups just to subside the tension. Though the social media on its part didn't hit the situation at all, because most of the issues that they disseminated were not verifiable. And it's really sad.
Thank you so much. I think that this program would not have that befitting touch, or the program is not going to be attired with the right regalia if we did not have the voice of an academic baron. It took me a lot of pains to invite the Mughal here on set, and thank God he squeezed out time out of his very busy schedule and he's here. I call him grandfather for variant and obvious reasons. Dr. Lingondo is an administrator and a lecturer at the Biaka University Institute and the Oxford University in Douala, and also he is the regional pediatric or pedagogical inspector something.
Regional pedagogy inspector of primary education Southwest region.
Primary education Southwest region. You're very welcome, doctor.
Sorry for coming late. I had some other very tight schedule which it made me to come just at this time. I was given the invitation about 2-3 days ago, so I had to honor it in spite of my tight schedule. I'm humbled to be among great minds.
Thank you so much, doctor. We are not taking this privilege for granted. We know the event. It has been quite an eventful week in Cameroon. First, a private institution in Douala, where a student, upon reception of 2 strokes of the cane, passed out, and what actually appeared to be like a joke, she's now in the mortuary, a 12-year-old, and the teacher is now behind bars. And there has been a lot of controversy, surrounding this subject. And just barely 1 week after that, we see the case of Lycée Etukebe. Now, I want to ask you, haven't heard from, the young minds that we have on set. You have been with the chalk, the pen, the chalkboard for as long
26 years.
For 26 years. So when we are talking the academic setting, we cannot do that discussion without having, the minds of you. When you received this, what was, your appraisal of the whole scenario? Do you think that it was a meditative act or something that was meditated? And do you think that the principal was targeted? And do you think that in all of this stunt, this is the best way to reveal, maybe the ugly or the students' intentions, as they have been begrudging the poor administrative setup, if at all there is any?
Thank you very much. I want to first of all say that I listened with keen attention the 2 speakers, what they said. As an administrator and as a pedagogue who had taught many years back, since 97, 98, and now this is 2024. I started as a primary school teacher, and then I had to climb the rank of an academic doctor. I will tell you black and white that I have taught children, which is an act of pedagogy, and adults now, which is an act of andragogy. That when you are dealing, first of all, with children who have just made a transit from primary to secondary, you have to be very careful. I think that's the reason why corporal punishment was forbidden.
Okay.
Yes, because I remember back in that time when I used to be a teacher, we used to trash those pupils, and we came to realize, I remember one day my uncle told me that be very careful. You can trash a child like that and the child will not get up, and that will be all. So you have to be careful. And then the policy of the country also revised and discovered that corporal punishment should be forbidden. There are several ways to punish a student, to discipline a child when the child has done something wrong. You can ask the child to stand and face the wall. You can give the child a written assignment, which is constructive punishment. You can ask the child to go out and maybe keep the classroom clean or whatever. You can do anything for that child, but you must not beat the child. You must not beat the child. We are blaming America that their children are wayward. They are not beating them and all the like. But in a sense, it's correct, because first of all, you don't even know the medical history of that child.
But I think every institution is supposed to have the medical history of.
Every institution is supposed to have, but how many institutions have? How many institutions have? With the kind of policy that we have today in our country, if we look at the educational system or the education law in 1994, it does not spell out clearly there that corporal punishment should be administered to children. It does not spell out that. Go back to the education law in 1994, you see it there. And then if you are a teacher, a pedagogue who knows exactly, know very well that these children look up to you as their father, as everything. And first of all, when they were coming, they were like tabula rasa, as Jean Rousseau said it, the blank mind, blank slate. And they are looking up to you, you have to feel them. Then you have to feel them positively. You have to make them to grow. See, let me be very candid. I have two children, a boy and a girl. I have never, I'm sorry to say, somebody will say that, no, daddy is pampering the girl child or whatever. I've never taken a cane to whip my girl child.
But don't you think that is bias?
No, I'm talking, even the boy, I've never done that. You know what I do? I call them. At times I just look at them, stand look, they adjust. At times when I know that what they have done is wrong, and I'm coming, they are adjusting already. It's the way.
Without the cane?
No, without the cane. I have several ways of discipline. I just bring your book. You bring your book. By the time you bring your book, I look at your book and I discover that maybe you've made an error either in mathematics or English. I correct you. I give you some work. Then I give you more work. That's a punishment. I give you more work. By the time you finish that work, and you are not only exhausted, you are coming and saying that, Daddy, thank you. So there are many ways that we can help these children. So when I heard that a teacher had to whip a child, and the child at the end of the day passed out, and then I heard of the problem that happened also in Etugebe. I was in the Etugebe that day. I was in Yaoundé. Yes, I was there. I decided to go and watch the scene.
The commotion.
It was something else. What we are seeing here, we're just joking. In fact, what they are even showing, those children were aggressive. They were ready to even kill somebody. I mean, those children, you see, when the moment the forces of law and order came there, the way they
started shooting stones.
They were running helter skelter, even though they had they came with their mask, they came with all those ammunition, but they could not stand the crowd. They could not stand the crowd. Even the parents, everybody. Let me tell you something about students that have taught for many years. When you pass a law, any child who comes late will not be able to enter the school. Any child who comes late, maybe we should go back home. any child who comes late maybe should be beaten, and then when you do that, and you don't have a time where you can call those children democratically, you can talk with them, then you have missed it.
But the principal said in her exclusive that before the students were asked to queue up in 2 lines to force themselves into the campus, there was a delivery of counsel. She advised them on the repercussions that late coming could have, or the adverse effect on their education, especially their scores, their marks, and all of that. So don't you think that was a conscious and a very beautiful stride, a good attempt that you speak with the children before spanking them?
I told I was in Yaoundé that day. I just left a primary school where I went to see a head teacher that used to be my friend. There are 2 schools in that campus. You have the Anglophone section, you have the Francophone section.
Okay.
What I observed was that in the Anglophone section, the head teacher comes by 7 o'clock. The head teacher is there to set an example.
Okay.
By 7:15, by that same 7 o'clock, those Anglophone children, they are already there. They are sweeping the compound. They are arranging. They are washing their classrooms. You could see the difference
between the Anglophone section
and the Francophone section. Now, by 7:30, that I zoomed into the school was messed up with all kinds, littered with papers, left, right, and center. The teacher, even the head teacher himself, was not there. So I will say it without blinking of eyes. An administrator has a lot to do when it comes to administration.
By setting examples.
You set the example. You don't only talk with mouth. If you come early, the teachers are already early, and the children know that the teachers and the head and the principal and the discipline masters are always there early. Whether you like it or not, the paradigm will change.
Yeah.
Something will happen. It may not be 100% correct. It may not be 100% all the children trying to follow what the example you are trying to set, like a pace setter. But about 80% of these children, there's what they call the hidden curriculum.
But Dr. Joseph, I'm trying to look at the connection.
Let me finish. There's what they call the hidden curriculum. Have you heard of the hidden curriculum?
No, sir.
Okay, the hidden curriculum is the way I dress, the way I speak, the way I articulate, the way I teach in class. My example is a big example for the children to emulate. That's what they call the hidden curriculum. I did that when I was doing masters. I went out, we did some practicum outside there to some schools, and I went to office. So when the principal comes early, the way the principal dresses, the way the teachers are doing their thing, everything.
That's a hidden curriculum.
That's a hidden curriculum. The children look at it and they want to follow that example. Are you getting it? Whether you like it or not, most of them say, I want to be like that teacher. I want to be like that principal.
I envy the teaching profession.
Yes, they envy the teaching. Do you know that many children now they don't like to become teachers?
But wow, that's a fact.
That's the truth.
That's a fact.
But now I'm just trying to find the connection. All what you've said makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to find the correction between the kids behaving the way
they behaved that day.
The way they behaved versus the way they ought to have behaved. And the hidden curriculum, is it that they were spurred to behave that way because the principal is not exemplary enough?
I've just said something. I've not called any person's name there. From what I've spoken,
now
you can decode what I've spoken.
Now, would it have been different if the principal
substance?
Would it?
Yes.
Would it have been different if the principal
describe phototropic substances as one of the major causes of the youth out of character?
Yeah.
How can a student nurse the courage to stab a teacher? It's not normal.
Let me make a point again here.
From substance.
Let me make a point here again.
Look at it.
Those children, they stay with us from 2 o'clock right up to maybe the following day where they sleep and the rest and they do their thing. So from 8 o'clock, let's say from 7:30, 8 o'clock, right up to 2 o'clock, they are with their teachers. So if you divide it, you realize that virtually half
of their days
their
out.
day they spend in school, and the other half they spend with their parents. The parents have a role to play, the teacher has a role to play, the administrators, they have a role to play. If you don't train your child, if the child is already a wayward child, we have what they call the nurture and the nature.
True.
If the child in an environment where the child is a loose child, he has peers who are very loose, they speak, they don't have any manners, they are funny the way they are behaving, and then their parents also don't care when it comes to parenting children, and you feel that it will all be done by the teacher, that's fallacy. That's fallacy.
Right, I told her.
So
Parents
now
are
listen.
failing.
So what I'm trying to say as a pedagogue is that we have a duty to bring up these children. We train them. We don't only teach them, we train them. But the greater training is done in the house, at home, where the parents make sure that the child does his or her assignment, the child goes to bed early, the child is careful with the kind of peers that the child is playing with, the kind of weapon that the kind of film that the child is even watching, and the kind of activities engaged in, it contributes enormously.
Now, but doctor, what has changed? What has changed?
Yes.
You know, during our epoch, I know I'm not too old, but I mean there is a discrepancy between my time and this
Which
time.
year was that?
I mean,
2000.
2000.
Okay, fine.
You know, you would see your teacher and you would literally feel a shiver down your spine.
Correct.
Of course.
But now, I remember I was in a restaurant one day and I saw my teacher and I took to my heels. I abandoned my food.
That's right.
But in recent times, you see a student at maybe in a snack bar ordering for drinks to his teacher. Now, there is no fear, there is no reverence for teachers anymore.
That's right.
Now, when I want, as a journalist, as an investigative one at that, when I try to wrap my finger around the scenario, my question is, what has changed? It is still an open-ended question. It's still a rhetorical question. What has changed between that time and this time?
I'll tell you what has changed. Let me tell you what has changed. There's a lot of moral decadence. There's a lot of moral decadence. There's a lot of... You see the way I came. Look at me very well. I'm teaching in Biaka, right? I'm teaching females. Never will I even say, please, let me get your number, I'll do this. No. Most teachers have lost
their integrity.
Their integrity. They play with those, even at the level of primary. Those big girls, they play with them. And before long, you start sending them to go and fetch me water in the house, go and do this, and before long, they start having some funny affairs with them. And so, what do you think when you sit with those children, maybe in the bar? You even send a child to go and buy you a cigarette. You send a child to go and buy a bottle of drink. That child lost respect completely.
But what happens when you have never made that kind of, you know, obnoxious and morbid ambitions towards me, and yet I don't give you the respect that you deserve?
Then it should be home background.
Let me key
The disciplinary situation needs to be revised.
It should be home background.
Let me key into for saying that what has changed. I blame the way that we have embraced the internet.
That's right. I said it here.
The way we have embraced the internet is also poorly, for the fact that the internet was supposed to be controlled at a certain level, especially to students. That's why, as a parent, if your daughter or your child is, you can leave your child still with you while at secondary school, but at the university you feel that he or she has gained some maturity to their life. That's why you see they move now to university campus, live it on their own. But as the Dr. Riley said, as long as the students are seeing the primary and the secondary, that mental upbringing must be consistent. And to to that extent, there are programs. There are programs. It was supposed to, I don't know how to put it, that it was supposed to be a certain age of maturity that every Cameroonian could access the internet at all angles. But as long as you stay under maybe 18, 20, you have some limit that you go on the internet. Because most of these violations are malicious practice that these boys want on online and other stuff like that.
And they have the liver to do what they see on
What
the
they see,
internet.
the practice is a practice. They practice what they see. Then now, secondly, I will also want to say that we copy a lot of things, just like we are copying laws which we are not familiarized, we are not customized with. When the doctor was talking about the law on education in 1994, you see, when the white man 1998, when the white man came to Africa, he realized that the whip was the ultimate goal to put order
or sanity,
sanity into the society. That is even why when you go to Proverbs, they say that you train a child.
And do not forget the rod.
Spare not the rod and spoil the child. And spoil the child.
That is that quotation.
That's a divine quotation.
That quotation came from an African circle, African philosophic circle. That was where that phrase came from. But now, doctor has spoken on. There are two scenarios ahead of us. One, the rod was used. Two, there was no rod. So when we go, some of us studies abroad, and they will come back. We are trying to flex to get things flexible for all, but we forget to know our originality.
Okay, now since you've mentioned the one for the rod and that for no void of the rod, let us look at the one for the rod. Do you think 2 strokes of the cane is enough to compromise somebody's life?
Now, good 18 maybe. When I am from GTA,
you see about 30 and then you dig a stone.
Until you see a snake or
Yes.
you clear it.
Let me come
And
in,
they
please.
believe that this is the only way they could build value in you and make you stand out amidst your peers, and that was that.
Let me stand
To correct.
No, not to correct. Let me stand to attest what he's saying. My late father has been in the grave now for this February 22nd, making 39 years in the grave. While I was 5 years old, I went and played football with my kid brother, my immediate kid brother. We came back because we did not do our chores. They had to put us on top of a small table like that and give us 12 strokes.
Each.
Yes.
And you did not die.
Yes, I did not die, but what I'm trying to say is that look at that time. That was in the 70s. That was in the 70s because I just turned 50. That was in the 70s. Now, the stroke will penetrate right to your buttocks.
Yeah.
By the time you are getting up there, they ask you again to do that nonsense that you did. You will not do it. It was for correction, for rebuke, and for admonition. Now, look at what is happening in our dispensation, where we have children. I will say it again without blinking of eyes. Some of these children can take even 10, 15, 20 strokes. Nothing will happen to them. Are you getting the picture? But children, I did child psychology. I did a lot of things before becoming a doctor.
Okay.
Some of the children also will take just 1 stroke and they'll become very sick. Very, very sick. That by the time you are not careful, it will not only be malaria, they have to take that child to the hospital, admit that child to the hospital. And you begin to ask, only 1 stroke I gave. I said something here. Children or the teachers or the administrators, they must have a medical history for all the children who are in class.
The complexity.
He made a statement here that there are some children who are asthmatic. There are some children who are yes, they have sickle cell. There are all other kinds of sicknesses. My little girl in the house at one time we realized that if a small crash happens like that, it won't just become. It's as if it's growing bigger and bigger. And
Because
I
of
asked
the
the mother,
skin.
yes, I asked the mother, go and find out whether this child has diabetes type 1. Yes. They went and they said it was about to start, so they should reduce her sugar intake. So now, what we do in the house is that those things that have a lot of sugar, we don't give her anymore.
Good.
So you must know the history,
Of your
the
child.
medical history of these children. All of them are not. Forget of the fact that you may see them, they are jumping, they are playing, they are. When you make a mistake and touch one who has a terrible medical history that the parents have not revealed to the administrators, and the child falls down and the child dies, then they start blaming the teacher. They start blaming the administration, but they don't know that past medical history has depicted that that child was not really strong physically. So we have to be very wise.
So in the mix of that, who
Yes.
is to blame? Do you think
You don't
teacher
blame
should-
any person here. You blame the administrators for the fact that they did not take the medical history. It is very important. I will say it again, that I'm an administrator par excellence. What is wrong if the time the child is coming with the birth certificate, the child brings the birth certificate, you register the child, and at the same time you also ask that, please, has this child done the medical certificate of fitness? Can I have it? And let me be very candid. What is happening now is that at times they even go to the hospital, they don't do the real test. They just write.
Oh, she's fit.
They just write she is medically fit. The parents will not be honest enough to say, please run this test as far as this test is concerned to my child, this one, so that you know exactly. And how many of us, even as we are seated here, that we have time, maybe once a month we go and check ourselves to know exactly what is happening with us. Something you are strong, right? But do you know
tomorrow-
that something can just push you like that, you fall there now, and they say, no, it was that man or this guy who just pushed. But because you did not know your medical history, they will blame him now. So let us be very careful. That's what I'm trying to drive home.
Okay, let us be very, very careful. This particular teacher is behind bars.
Yeah.
He went to report himself, and the family of Mbongvera, that is the 13 years who passed, is stringent on the fact that the teacher has to go in for it. So if you were the lady's family, what would you say, considering that this girl had zero fitness certification and she showed no signs of ailment that morning, as the classmates would, overtly say? So if you were the family, would you have twisted the whole thing or approached it in a different way?
Now, first of all, in the academic milieu, the teacher has defaulted because by the rules that binds them, they should not give corporate punishment
Exactly.
anymore. Now, going to the oral section that I will try to paint, eyewitness account have it that all the students have violated the instruction of the teacher and were allocated the same punishment. And again, I heard a report that the students and some of the colleagues who are teachers have attested that that particular teacher is one of their best in the school. So those are extra findings that the investigation team have to come in and put in place to see to justify the case in favor of the teacher. Mind you, it is very painful to the parents. They have to bear it, but like we said, I don't want to blame it. Let me just use the word hardship. Or the economy of the country does not permit even grown-ups to find time even after 6 months and go to the hospital for hospital care. So, had it been just like I said, the girl did not put forward any fitness, nothing. So it could be that medically she was unstable.
That's right.
And she has not submitted any document because a conscious
Or a genuine document.
Any conscious parent, as he is talking, as the doctor was saying, I will come to school and say, please, my daughter is asthmatic.
That's right.
If you want to punish her, give her some other forms of punishment.
That's right.
Don't put her. We have teachers. This guy is talking. We know also a trainer school. We know of Sofatin here. We know of Canada here. We have students in Bamenda who will tell us that they do 30 storms a day. At times you need them and face the sun. We had those punishments. So, but if you come openly to an institution and you say that my daughter, my son is suffering from
challenges.
At least, even if the principal had come to that gate, the first thing he or she would do is to pick out those students with their medical certificate is on her desk, and she has a mastery of it. She would just come, in those days, and say, Joseph, this, out, out. The rest of the students follow the discipline master. That is how punishment was being accorded to you.
Now, doctor, talking about this punishment, which even if we are given 1 week, we cannot actually exhaust it because of the complexities that surrounds it. Most institutions are trying to, find an understanding ground between embracing punishments or light punishments and looking at the injuries that it causes some academic institutions. Let me say it point blank. Do you think that the abolishment of punitive measures in schools and learning institutions have actually been a threat to disciplinary measures or to discipline in learning institutions?
I will say that when we talk of punitive measures, it's not only corporal punishment. It's not only corporal punishment. There are other, as I said, there are other aspects that you can still use to punish a child or punish students when they do wrong. That's why, for some of us who are pedagogues, if I'm teaching, let me say I'm teaching the primary school where children are having cases, very recalcitrant cases, what have we done? Have we carried out a psychosocial support? You know what they call psychosocial support? That's the new trend that is coming up now in education.
Maybe counseling?
Yes. Psychosocial support. Let me give you a small example of a child who was suffering and the psychosocial support, that's counseling, was done and the child revamped. This child has lost the parents during this crisis. The teacher now understood what the child was going through. The child will come, the child will not be able to feel free in front of the friends and the others. The child will prefer to come and sit beside the teacher. If you're a teacher who have done psychosocial intervention, because that's what I also lecture in Bianca University, there's what they call educational interventions, educational psychosocial intervention.
Okay.
If you have done that, you know that that child has a problem. And so, what will you do? You will not treat the child like the other children. The child might not even understand what you are saying because the child is already frightened. The child is battered because of what has happened. Now, after class, you may give the child a remedial class where you have to help the child too. And the child is already acquainted to you, the teacher. He's acquainted to you. Another teacher comes now who does not understand the psychosocial trauma which that child is going through, decide to look for a whip and whip that child. That teacher
add to the trauma.
And add to the trauma. That teacher, that's why we said when you stop teaching, you should stop learning. As a teacher, you should continue to. I did administration in school. I did not do psychology, but because of as a doctor, if you ask me anything in psychology, in special education, I will tell you, you must read across. If you ask them, they read a lot. They are teachers. So if a child comes to class and you know that the child is already having a trauma, and you take a cane and you are whipping that child, you are instead adding, as you rightly said, to the trauma. Punishment must not always be whips. Punishment at times, the child may not even. Do you know that we have slow learners, we have fast learners, we have gifted children, we have children who are hyperactive. Hyperactive children. You put them like this. Now you don't understand what I'm talking about. You say that child is that's how that child is.
And that child has so much energy.
The child has a lot of energy. The child is not slow in the head, but that is how the child, biologically, that's how the child has been wired. You as a teacher, you must understand that that child is hyperactive, and so what should you do? You should at times go closer to the child. You calm the child, and bring the child closer to yourself and pamper the child. Say, okay, no, do this assignment. If you don't understand this dynamics, you take a cane and you're whipping the child. I'm whipping the child. Are you helping the child?
No.
You say no because punitive. There are some children who are gifted children in class, very gifted. They finish the assignment, they start disturbing the whole place. What should you do? You give them more assignments.
To keep them
composed. To keep them composed. You give them more work. And even harder task. So that by the time they do it, they are sweating, they come and meet you as I said, please can you explain me this concept? If you don't know this, you take a cane. Every time you're only there, you are whipping the children. We have all kinds of learners today in class, where I don't even see the reason why we should always be taking cane and whipping these children when we have children who have Down syndrome, some who are autism, this thing is coming out from their mouth, and maybe you have a heyday, your wife has done something funny.
You transfer the aggression.
Yes, you transfer the aggression now to the child. It's not helpful. What you as a teacher should do is that, I've said it again and I'll say it, there are constructive way of punishing children, which is if you read if you looked up about John Dewey's this thing, you look about Abraham Maslow hierarchy, law of hierarchy, all those theories, you realize that the way they explain the concept of handling children is totally different from what is good to read. At times we blame the wise that they don't beat children, because I've said one thing here, the medical aspect of that child. Secondly, that child may be having some learning difficulties. Thirdly, that child may be
autistic,
or it may have a Down syndrome, it may be hyperactive. So when you understand this, do you think you still take a cane and you are whipping that child? You will not. You will do everything possible to instead learn, to able to help that child so that child can study. Remember, children, as I said, as Jean-Jacques Rousseau said, they are tabula rasa, blank slate. That's why you can take a little boy who is about maybe 1 or 2, take him to Germany, take him to Italy, take him to Japan, take him to England.
And he will learn all
those languages. He will learn all those languages.
Because his mind is fragile.
Because the mind is not only fragile, it's empty, it's clean. He wants something to be filled. Now you don't see it that way. You are only looking at the punitive. Children are a gift. If we look at these children, we should treat them with a lot of, and you know that we as teachers and pedagogues who are handling children is different from people who are handling papers and trees and all these people who are working different, because we are dealing with minds. Have you not seen a place where a child comes back and says, my teacher said that, what my teacher said is true, I cannot, you try to convince the child. If the child can believe you that way, must you still take a cane and whip the child?
Okay, now Mr. Lionel, all what Dr. here has said is, I think, putting a huge pat on the back, but we still have learning institutions who have been able to embrace this status quo or the normalcy that punitive measures should be rolled out of their learning institutions. Now, we settle for sort of corporal punishment, and still yet parents will still come to school and stage drama. Why did you punish my child? Why did you punish my child? I know you've heard of instances like that. Yeah. So in that case, is it that we let go of the cane and we let go of other corporal punishments?
Corporal punishment is also part of our educational system. It's something we cannot afford to erase. It has to be there. It has to be there. I think we should rather be considering how to revive the disciplinary situation of our academic system. This thing of painting children gives them excess indulgence and they are going wayward. It's true. When you are profoundly conscious of the fact that if I have been in school before 7:30, I'll be punished. you have to exercise in every effort to ensure you are there at
Before the
7:15. Yes, we must not have to subject them under unbearable torture, but they have the reserves or retributions that can be administered on them when they overstay the rules. They have to be conscious that I have to be in class at this time. Then something he equally said is, when I was in the NBC Muteng, we have one lady, Limunga, I might not love to inject the other component of her name for personal reasons. She had health challenges, and the mother came and told the principal in definite terms, my daughter is a patient. Please, each time she does anything wrong, put the call through to me or handle it at home. Yeah.
And that was
each time
enough.
we have issues in school, the principal will say, Limunga, see this way. The rest of us now will be trashed. So what he says is the truth. But this thing of public children in school is actually creating a
More
wave
harm.
of criminality. How can a child stab a teacher? Can you give someone the courage our time? Can you even argue
Or to
your
talk back.
teacher and they could actually pick up the courage to stab a teacher? It's not normal. It's not normal. Parents are failing because when you have a child, you have a mastery of his behavioral patterns. When you start acting out of character, you know something's going wrong with my child. Start taking the frame he keeps. Be able to watch that way. One bad child around a neighborhood can destroy the rest of them. Yeah,
That's right.
tramadol is common these days. Indian is common. Once they take it, they acquire artificial courage. They start behaving, acting out of character. That is not them. The stuff they are taking is actually pushing
Speaking
people.
children.
Yeah. So I think parents have to keep a close watch on the children.
Now imagine a scenario where a learning institution, for example XXX, says, okay, no beating, we are rolling out the use of the rod, canes, and if you default, you're going to mop the classroom, and a parent comes to stage disorder after you've punished her child or his child in school. In that case, we see that the learning institution is in a case of
Chaos.
chaos and dilemma. So how do we iron out that kind of complexity surrounding decision making with learning institutions?
Yes, I'll key in by saying that you should understand that all parents don't have the same IQ of understanding things. Right? You get it. At times, people have it that education is not exams is not the best test to knowledge. But you see, that is why there used to be parent-teacher association where parents come together and the school and the parent, because they have a common duty in the upbringing of these vulnerable children. So that's why the first thing that we go to school to gain is knowledge. The second thing is to shape our lives. Because when you feel that you go to school to pass exam, that's not all. That's why there's a follow statement that you have passed through education, your education has not passed through you. So there must be that cordial relationship between the parents and the teachers. And by the time we are on this panel now, there are things that doctor will say that I will shake my hand and say, no, let me swallow my own point. My point is not relevant at this time. So by the time institutions start getting this initiative together, and one thing that the doctor has also highlighted is these people. There's a factor. There's an office where they caution you.
Counselors.
Counselors in school. Counsel also have to.
They have a special role to play.
The counsel even couples.
That's right.
So the counsel even couples who you think are doctors, lawyers, bankers. They counsel them on marital affairs because they don't know it all.
Yeah.
So there must be a time that the counsel have to have a session with the teachers and the parents and say, okay, these are the new plugins. We in science engineering we call it plugins. These are the new plugins that are in the educational milieu, and this is how we have chosen to start handling things. A lot of questions will be raised, I will be answered, and everybody will go home with a better understanding. And then you now will see that it is up to you. You say, okay, my daughter will manage up to the end of the year. I'll take her out of the school. You understand? Probably the policy of that school must not suit you. I give you another example why I should not call, but the school is around John Chi area there. So a white lady, she was working this NGO's white. So every day she has a son who used to attend that school. So she came one day, she often parked her car and then crossed the road with her son to come and put inside the school campus. So on one good morning, as she came, she parked, she pulled out with the son. On crossing the road, she realized that a teacher was flogging a boy to partly. What she did was, she just took a turn, went back with the son. This is the principal eyewitness account because it's a friend of mine. So when the principal noticed that this white boy has not been to school for about 4 or 5 days, then she asked the mother, she called the white lady, said, why is Junior not coming to school every reason? So the lady came to school and said that I came over there and saw the flogging his peers. My son is suffering from this and this, and I will not encourage flogging. That was understood. That was already a fitness certificate that was submitted. You get it? So the academic millennium was trying to blend and bring some of these factors, these new factors. Just like Doctor is talking about some professors, some deans, some academic barons have written on the psychological pattern of children, and we have to follow.
That's right.
We have to follow. But like I said earlier, the African man cannot live without punishment.
Yes, also.
Doctor, but in all of this, we hear, I don't want to go to that of the say they do and the others where, a fellow student is going to stab the other students to death and all of that. Throughout 2023, we have recorded at least 15 scenarios or thereabout in different learning institutions, and 2024 was welcomed by these 2 incidences in learning institutions, and even the ones that are away from the media's eyes, that the schools will try to contain it within the facility. But why is it that it's so much in the French part of the country? Is it that these French kids, are notorious to be more recalcitrant? Because even where, with the English part of the country, where it's believed that we have IDPs, an influx of different people in settling in different cities, we don't record as much damage. Why is the Francophones always on the bad spotlight?
I made a statement when I came here that I was in Yaoundé and I attended a school, a primary school, where it was an English-speaking school. In the compound, you have the English-speaking section and the French-speaking section. There are 2 schools. You see, the Anglo-Saxon culture is different from the French culture.
Fact.
The Anglo-Saxon culture, way back when we grew up, we know what it takes to be disciplined. We know what it takes to. My little girl, the mother just say, pass, go to bed. She just gets up. She take that plate and go. Some of these children in the French, you tell them, they tend to say, imbecile, they even abuse you. Why? Because they observe what is happening in their house. The mother and the father, they are always at loggerheads. And then you made a statement of peer pressure. If you have, I said something about nurture and nature. If you have, in the natural side of you, where you have children who are loose, who are wayward, and a child who is growing up find his or herself in that kind of environment, whether you like it or not, that's how that child. Look at the Francophones. Look at the way even the Anglophones are dressed when they are going to school. Look at the way they're dressed.
But it's sad that some of our girls have begun to copy their.
It is rubbish. It is rubbish. It is absolutely rubbish when I see young beautiful girls. They are living some kind of way. They are exposing themselves. Decency. Look, the Anglophones, the Anglo-Saxon culture has taught us how to dress, how to speak, how to respect elders, how to carry ourselves,
Because we are from the Queen's background.
True.
We are from the Queen's background. I want you to know that. We are from the Queen's background. And if you look the English, if we talk about English, that's England. You look at, I was teaching, because I have about 3 courses.
Everything's different.
I was teaching one of my students, I think it was yesterday also, Introduction to Educational Foundation, and we're looking at some of the preambles of when the French and the English they came to Cameroon and things like that, and the French section and the English section. We're looking at all this, and I realized that at one time, even the Anglophones who were in this other side, from the English background, they did not want to continue annexation of this side because they thought at least they should let go. But the French, have you not realized that even up to now, the French has held us like this? A bad system. Everything is decadence. True. I'm sorry to say it. Yeah, the children don't respect people.
The reality.
The people. You see the way they don't have any culture. And what do you expect? The children can talk anyhow to their parents. They can behave anyhow. They can sleep outside. The mother will even ask the child to go and bring the boyfriend and all the like. It doesn't work like that in the Anglo-Saxon culture.
Yeah. Or you buy stuff. And your mom doesn't ask you or your parents.
Ask you that this dress
where do you get that from?
They are wearing, who gave you? How come? Nothing. So it flows, it trickles right down into the school system, where the children now they are wayward. They want to do whatever they want to do. You cannot take a small child, a francophone child, and the parents take the child away. The child want to fight.
Yes, of course.
You want to fight. They don't try it with the anglophone. The child will be crying. You flog the child, is weeping and crying, and the child will run and go, and you can still call the child. The child comes back. It's not the same like the French culture. It's 2 different cultures.
It's 2 different cultures.
Have you understood it? That's the picture. And because we are trying to emulate the French, we are emulating the dirty system of the Francophones. I'm sorry to say, I know people are listening, but I don't care. I'm just telling the truth. Yeah. The Anglo-Saxon culture is a clean culture. It's a very clean culture.
With respect
With
and
respect.
regards.
Look at even look at our ministers, look at our governors, look at I mean all the administrators who are this way. They carry administrators who are that way, and they are selling our lands. They are doing funny things. The Fakona is something else. I'm saying it, they know. And I don't care. I'm just speaking the truth. The Anglophones in my village, let me be very candid with you.
Yes, sir.
You don't sell the land.
Yes, sir.
You don't sell the land.
Yes, sir.
But now, because we are imbibing that culture, people just give things anyhow. They sell. They want to do this.
They intimidate you.
They intimidate you.
They subject you
I
under
remember
pressure.
there was one SDO. I don't want to call it this of blessed memory. He used to be SDO.
Jean something. I know him.
Zamtois.
Of course, we know him.
I do not want to call it, but
we know him.
He sold land until, do you know that before he left, the chiefs, they met him. By the time he retired, he was about to go back. They said, you must retrieve all that land that you sold. And do you know, he went and he was not long, he died. You don't do all those things.
Which portion of Limbe is now in the house or the Mamleke?
Yes. So, you see the culture of the Francophones. Let's say fair, they do any kind, and the children are also growing up. Go now to Enam, go now to Emiak, go now to all those schools that you find. How many Anglophones are there?
Okay.
The very few Francophones who are there, when they come now, they begin to change figures.
Yes. Talk about the national team.
Look at even the national team. And we have a crisis that is going on now.
Where's the regional balance, even at the national team?
We have 10 regions.
Thank you so much.
Regions, and then they cannot even take even 2 Anglophones, even 1.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyways, this is not supposed to be a sport program.
If we look at it, we are not there are
ongoing bonds on.
Well, this is not about sports. This is not about sports.
We are saying something.
But discussing issues of national interest.
This is not sports.
It's a very serious matter. Let me be very candid. It trickles down right into the school system.
We have
where we have FINASCO games, where the children are going FINASCO League A and League B.
We have just about.
And you see, you see, we will do everything possible to do what? To take our little children that have trained. They will go and bring some people who, people
but if it's students,
who are not students.
We take on a few reactions and then we get our final.
It's very appalling.
Farewell. Thank you,
Very, very appalling.
Doctor. We understand the frustration, but then again, we wish this program was a sport program. Then would have elucidated some more. This one says, "Thank God, those people running their mouths here should understand that most students in this generation takes drugs, and they act under the influence of drugs. We have to be extra careful and educate our kids more. In a very short while, these kids we praise today will turn against us, the parents." This one says, "Some institutions are not good for women to be leaders. Them no go fear them, especially when she not fit handle things well." Derek Spencer. Thank you so much. This one says, Ajek Teko says, "It's a blessing. No life was lost. If not, this principal for Siri Wutu. Thank you." Mayor, all the way from Douala says, "What do some of you think this woman will gain if students are injured or die? The story is simple. Students were asked to wait, but because they think they are Android generation, they themselves created a situation that was only dangerous to them. Please, don't pour your frustration at every situation. You may have a good stand, but learn to also be truthful and logical." Kamer says, "It's sad when children of nowadays think they know all because they do things we don't do and they enter places we do not enter. It's normal for students to be stubborn. We have been there, and at our time we were stubborn too. But the issue here is that madness is being taken for stubbornness." Thank you. This is a huge program. Thank you so much. Njomo Kevin says, "The parents of the students who died should come and speak out. Only then we can believe who is telling lies or not." Thank you so much, veteran Jomo Kelvin. Doctor, you have gotten a few reactions. This one, Kendo Genesis Champion says, "I'm sure she's not married or having children. Person cannot be lying in a daylight. I don't trust the principal." And by the way, Mabel, that is a good program. And my hello to Dr. Joseph. Thank you so much. He is live on the program and he's going to hear. Doctor, you've gotten, it's a cocktail of different reactions. While
I'm sorry if maybe I overreacted.
Of course, some people are reacting just the way that you're reacting, while others think that maybe you could be overreacting, or maybe, they are holding a brief for the principal. But if you go to social media and those following this program, they think that there is something that the principal is not saying. I don't know why they think that way, but to me, I think we should hold the principal by what he has said. But a lot of people think that
the principal who locked the children and there was commotion, or the one who the child died. Which one are you talking?
The principal who locked the children and the child died.
The principal, she's a lady. She's an administrator. Administrators, what they taught us in school was that there's cohesive power, there's democratic power. If she feels that she's guilty, she's not guilty, and she's honest, she should come out and speak the truth.
Which she has done.
If she has spoken the truth and she has not mixed word, then they should believe her for the gospel truth which she has spoken.
Okay, we use this opportunity to get your final word since we are dragging the curtains of this program.
I want to first of all appreciate this program. It's a very big program, and I want to thank my panelists who are here, and it's a privilege for me to serve our own country, and anytime you call me, I'll always be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mr. Ekombi Lionel. As somebody who is a pressman, what word do you have for your colleagues who are there, and it is believed, just like the case of CLTV, Baron, whose report was believed not to be balanced? What do you have to say?
All I want to say is, we are trained to inform Cameroonians, so that at the end of the day, they can be able to make informed decisions.
That's right.
When we advertently twist the truth to please some people
In jeopardy.
we are simply violating the deontologies of our profession. We have just one responsibility as a journalist to inform the people. So when something like that happens, you have to make out time to carry out a meticulous and a prudent investigation. Source the facts, put everything together, speak the truth. Cost you nothing. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Because there are blogs in Cameroon that take delight in diffusing unverifiable information.
Like which blog?
Just to attract traffic.
Out of publicity, you may not be able to say it.
Mimi Mefo can be one.
Because of
I
promptness.
have respect for her, but most of her informations are always out to attract attention. At the end of the day, once you go through the information, it doesn't tie with the headline.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pope. News from the Vatican. What Vatican blessings would you want to give us before we kiss this program goodbye?
Well, Pepe, from the organs that there has been an attempt to frustrate teachers in Cameroon, and with the recent growth in population, drugs that have been smuggling under the watch eye of the watchdogs, children are now consuming carelessly and rendering abuses on teachers. For that, our educational system to come back balance, we must work, and the government must be wholly responsible for it, because they are the pilots and the teachers are there to assist the work. Whatever be the case, we say sorry to the family that have lost their 13-year-old daughter.
Indeed.
We also go send our support behind the teacher who is behind bars, that let justice be served with some purity to him, so that he can also find his way out. And to the rest of the world, to the rest of the students, I want to say that you have one function to go to school to learn, and you have to replicate it by respecting your teacher who is passing the knowledge to you, because no education is a dark future.
Okay, thank you. No education is a dark future. And of course, Matters always ensures that you do not have a dark future. And that is why we bring in buoyant minds, those who are standing tall as far as moral and academic is concerned, to educate and to lecture you on certain things that you ought to know. Thank you for following through to the program from 6 p.m. right up until now. We are going to see you tomorrow, and do not forget that High Prime will be next with Larry Etengene. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.